This episode of Hoochos is brought to you by HomeGrow. Welcome back to Hoochos. Today on Hoochos, we're going to build this. This is a DIY miniature NFT hydroponic system that's tailor-made for small spaces like this veranda and costs only 240 Australian dollars. That includes everything you see here and everything you need to get started in hydroponics at home. So a little context, I'm here at my mate's apartment in Currumbin on the Gold Coast and I'm setting up a hydroponic system for him and his missus. So this is going to be a video about small spaces and what you can do with them. Today we'll be building a NFT hydroponic system for a small veranda space that gets some light, and we needed something relatively compact that will fit within this space here. Now, I'm working with just a camera essentially. I packed a bag, not anticipating that I'd need to come here and build a system. So we'll be working with a drill, and that's pretty much it. So we're gonna buy some hole saws for the drill, and we're also gonna buy something to cut into plastics, pipe, and the reservoir that we'll be using. I'll also be getting all of the nutrients and stuff that we need for someone to start out with hydroponics. So we'll be buying some hardware store hydroponic nutrient, pH up and down, or whatever we need to get the tap water to the right pH. I won't know the EC, so we'll just be going off the packet instructions. This is basically a get up and go guide for those that want to start hydroponics. First things first, let's go to the hardware store and pick up what we need. Whoop. See if I can't get hit by a car. Okay, so I'm here at Bunnings Tweed with, this is Dano. He'll be walking around behind us. He's bankrolling this whole situation essentially. We're gonna go in, we're gonna have a look around, and we're gonna see if we can get all of the stuff that we need for the build. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna start with the reservoir, and then we'll move up from the reservoir, so we'll grab the pump and stuff. But first, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, HomeGrow. Has your food done more traveling than you? HomeGrow is Australia's fastest growing online hydroponics retailer, aiming to promote the sustainable growing of hydroponic produce at home. HomeGrow wants to provide sustainable alternatives to farming by providing industry-leading technology and innovative products. HomeGrow has an extensive range of grow media, including Jiffy Peat pellets, Growdam plugs, and other propagation materials like we'll be using later in this video. They also have professional grade cocoa for use in systems like this dragon fruit hydroponic system, as well as the float box and all rain gutter grow systems. So if you're having a hard time getting your hands on hydroponic grade cocoa like I have, head over to the HomeGrow website and receive 5% off your purchase with the promo code Hoocho. Well, it looks like this one's the one, 20 bucks. All right, so we managed to get all of our stuff and ended up being about 240 bucks. I'll break down what we got once we get back to the apartment, but yeah, there it is. All right, let's pack it in the car and see if we can get this build underway. And a pro tip, to make sure that your load is secured properly, you have to slap it and say, she's not going anywhere. So this is definitely an apartment scenario. We're just struggling up the stairs. Okay. And there we go. Oh, hello Clancy. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a quick stock take of what we got. The total was $242.26. There were some extra things that we didn't need, like the pH up and pH down. You really only need one of these, but I wasn't sure what the pH was going to do once we add the nutrient into our water. So I just had to get both on this occasion, but just buy the nutrient, see what it does to your water, and then purchase the one that you need. So we've got our pH up, our pH down, our hydroponic nutrient, a liquid pH test kit so that we know what the pH is and we can adjust it according to what it needs. We've got some Jiffy Peat pellets so that we can propagate our seedlings, and we got a propagator as well. I bought the AquaPro AP550. Now this pump has a head of 1 meter, which is perfect for this application. That was about $32. Some T-pieces, an end piece, and a barbed inline tap for the irrigation that comes from the pump. For the tubing, we just went with a cheap PVC hose. This will be a dual purpose. This is actually going to be used to run from the tap to the res so we can refill it, and it's going to be used for the pump. We've got our seeds. Danny's going to be growing iceberg lettuce as well as cos romaine. He's going to try capsicum as well. I'll probably encourage him to use the capsicum at the very end of the NFT run so that if the roots get out of control, they'll only go down into the res as it runs back. So that's probably the way we're going to run with the capsicums. Because the only tool we'll be using today that wasn't bought was a drill, I bought a hole saw kit as well as a tubular hacksaw. This is so that we can cut the pipe into 1 meter lengths. The pipe we got is 3 meters of PVC down pipe, and it's square. So I'll be using this for the NFT rails. Along with that, we bought our 100 litre res for 20 bucks. So that's a pretty good price. To hold it all together, I've got some zip ties as well as this. This is just a glass table. It was the cheapest way I could think of actually holding the piping off the ground. I was going to go with a blow mold table so that it could be folded up and carried away, but this was a lot cheaper, and we're dealing with a high wind area on that balcony. So this is the cheapest option. I'm just going to remove the tempered glass by taking out these little brackets in here, and we'll just zip tie our pipes directly to the top of this. All right, let's get to the build. Danny did want everyone to know that he also has
tape measure.
Ah, yeah, a tape measure. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're just going to mark out 1 meter lengths on the pipe so we know where to cut. Oh, and it's raining. Great. Danny, I'm sorry, mate. Tradies can't work in the rain, so I'm going to have to come back tomorrow and do this. So using our cheap hacksaw, I'm just going to cut straight through this pipe. This is going to be like the most crooked straight cut you've ever seen though, so. Oh, how do you make a hacksaw go straight? Don't laugh. I don't like this commentary on the side, eh?
Look, it'll work.
Yeah, so it'll work. Yeah, it'll work. Okay, so the way that this is going to be set up is I'm going to have the pipes sitting on this table, flowing down into this res here. So I want to fall on these legs. Anything above 3%, I mean, the more the better, really. So I'm going to take the glass out. You want the glass out, hey, Danny? Yeah, okay. So take the glass out because it's a high wind area and there's a possibility that the wind could get under it up here. I'm going to take that glass out and cut the legs now. Oi, that's the wind. You did tell me. Okay, so with this table, if you slide all of these around from where they're positioned behind the legs, this glass just pops out. Well, it should do. Don't know how to get this glass out. This is hotter than I thought it would be. Yeah, oof. If I push this up, it's tight, eh? Oh, we could smash it out. You got a hammer? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, it's not coming out. I'm gonna put it in here. Okay, so I'm not recommending you do this at home, but this is the only way we can think of to get that glass out of that table. I thought it would just be a matter of, I could probably take those spaces out, but this is just gonna be quicker. I want you to do it, Danny. It's your house. If you wreck something, then it's on you.
What else is it? That's fine.
No, you just go like that. No, I insist.
Ready?
Yep. No. Man, I just don't know how to get this out. All right, I'm gonna have to cut these. I honestly think that this glass is what iPhone screens are made out of. Come on. Oh, I think I can get it. Oh. Yeah, all right. Okay, we're good. So if you're going to use one of these tables, the way that you get the glass out is you need to remove these things. And the way that we did it was we bent up the edging and these things just slid straight out, and then the top was able to be removed. But if war ever breaks out in your country, just go to Bunnings and grab one of these and hide behind it. We did it. I'm going to mark out and drill our PVC channels, which we've cut to 1 meter. So I'm going to mark out holes because this is a smaller system, starting at 10, and then I'm going to do a hole every 15 centimeters or 150 millimeters along the channel. And I'm going to stagger one of them so that the plants are staggered. Okay, so this is the cheapest hole saw kit that we could find. It's $7.50 Australian, and the largest hole saw it comes with is a 54 millimeter. So that's the one we'll be using for the hole sizing on our pipes. Start in forward, finish in reverse. We beat it. So while Danny is doing the rest of those holes, I'm going to cut these table legs. I'm actually going to remove the plugs at the end because once I'm done, hopefully if I've cut it straight enough, I'll be able to replace them. No guarantees though. And I'm just gonna I think I'll take 1 inch off. Maybe a little bit more than 1 inch. Hey, whoa. You're not wrong.
It gets windy.
Yeah, real windy. If I've done this correctly, we have our res here and our pipes can just be zip tied to this table frame and will run straight down into the top of our res. And I'll cut holes in the top so that the water just flows straight into that res. To do this, I'm just going to use my hole saw. I'm just going to put 2 holes in it. 1, 2, and then I'm going to use my hacksaw to cut between them so that you have one large slit where the water will fall back through. Now if you wanted, you could cut individual holes for each channel if you know where the channels are. Actually, I might do that. Thinking on the go. Let's do that. And now I'm going to clean up the in-between bits with a hacksaw. And that's what it looks like. Our system's starting to take shape. Have you got a kettle? Yeah, maybe we can. Okay, I'm gonna steam bend these. You reckon it'll be hot enough?
Oh, so it curves down.
Yeah, just so it curves down. I could probably do it over your stove actually. All right, let's try that. Just turn your biggest element on full. So we'll just use that. This next part took a little bit of creative thinking because I don't have a heat gun with me, but I still wanted to bend the ends down so that they lipped, so that it gives us like a kind of a clean flow off the end. So what I'm actually going to try and do, I'm going to put these ends in boiling water for a little bit to soften them up, and then I'm going to use something. What have we got that we can bend it with? Hands. No, I'm not using my hands. Chopsticks.
Because everyone has chopsticks.
Yeah, everyone's got chopsticks. Half the world is Mandarin. This is very appropriate. We're just going to bend it like that. Okay. Oh, yes, it's working. Look at that. That's all I really wanted. Now we can just run that under the cold water. That worked. How good. I'm so stoked. You don't even need a heat gun.
That's good.
Yeah, how good. So if you just get the bottom, the rest doesn't bend, which we don't really want the rest bending. We only really want the bottom bending. Yeah. How good. And then in from the sides and up from the bottom, like that. And then it just looks like that. So that the water doesn't come up out there. Now I'm going to zip tie these in place, but first I'm actually going to drill some holes for the 13mm pipe. So ideally you'll have these holes as small as possible to be as snug a fit onto the 13mm pipe as you can, but I'm working with the hole saw kit that I've got. I'm going to drill a hole coming out of the res here and 3 holes going into the top of the pipes, and that is going to be where I run my irrigation line. I'd prefer that these were really tight, but I think you'll just be able to... Oh, actually, I know what I can do. Okay, so what I've done is I haven't drilled them out completely, and this flap you can just put your hose into and it'll hold it in place. I might even do that on any future systems that I build. Okay, we can now zip tie all of our pipes in place. So I've just looped 2 zip ties down underneath, over, and then down underneath and over, and it just gives a nice neat look like that. I'm going to do that for all the pipes. Now if you want, and you want this to last a bit longer in the sun, you can use metal zip ties, but to keep costs down, I just use these plastic ones. They may fail over time in the sun, so there you go. That is our rails set up. So it's now time to run the irrigation. I'm going to unpack the pump, and I'm using PVC garden hose because it gives you a bit more flexibility. It's cheap and available everywhere, but you can use irrigation tubing if you like. We're going to connect up the top of our pump fitting. This is perfect because it's 13 millimeter. So I'm going to want a little bit of extra. Cut that down. Now, this is going to sit inside the reservoir, and we can just run our power cord out one of our holes like that. This piece of hose will go through the hole that we've created down into the res, and we can just connect our pump by pushing it onto our hose like that and placing it down into our res. Pop the lid on, and now we can place it along the channel and zip tie it in place. I'm going to zip tie it to this table base. That will give us some room to play with when we're changing the res. We can just slide it away like that, and then it's nice and neat. Here I'm going to put our tap, and this is going to let you control the flow of water to these pipes. It'll also let you turn it off, so you can turn it off immediately if you want to. Can you hold this for me?
Yeah, it would have been helpful.
And just hold that tap against there like that for me. Yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah. Done. What was that?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. That is our tap setup. The way that I've run this pipe, I've just used 2 T-pieces, and it looks like this. So they're all just running out and over and in. And I've used excess pipe because I didn't want to bend the pipe. So I'm going to zip tie this all in place so it looks neat, and this will stop the kinking. All right, look at that. So one of the benefits of this system is that when you want to change the res, you can just push aside your grow platform and pick up the res. Now, if you really wanted to make it more modular, you could put a connection in, so you could have a connection that disconnects, and then you can just move the res around. I'm not going to go that far. If we want to remove the res completely, we can just take the lid off and the pump out and move it like that. It's fine this way, but that's just an idea that you can play with. Put this lid aside, and we're going to fill up the res with water, and we're also going to mix in our nutrient. This is a 100-litre res, so each lettuce will take 4 litres of water, and lettuce is what's going to be grown in this system predominantly, to go to full maturity. And this is a 100-litre res. 72 litres if there's 18 spots here. You'll get a whole lettuce grow out of 100 litres of nutrient. And you shouldn't have to change that nutrient. You may need to top it up a little bit with water depending on the EC. And that's the only thing that's not included in this whole kit. You'll probably need an EC reader, electrical conductivity sensor, so that you can check how much nutrient is left in solution and whether it's building up or whether it's being used up. So I'm going to fill this res up to 100 litres, and we'll mix in 100 litres of nutrient. It's just too short. And the funniest part is, sorry mate, it's just always the way. The water pressure in this place is amazing. Okay, so we've got a full res, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to give the system a quick run. Just make sure everything works properly. Have a go at that. Yes. Why isn't that one coming out? It's just bypassing that one. Oh, there it is. How good. So what we are going to need to do is we're going to need to put individual taps on each one of these. Because what's happening is it is getting through to that tap. Well, the way that the line's set up, these two will feed first, and it will just bypass this one. It'll just take the path of least resistance. Yeah. So what you need to do is you need to add resistance to each of these pipes. So we'll add in taps, and then you turn the taps down on these two, and this one, like down it to like a quarter, and then they'll all push because it'll be backing up on all the taps. And then you can adjust the channels individually, and I'd say that's probably a better way to go anyway. You can do that, hey? You happy to do it? Just get 3 of those taps. And once the taps are in, it'll give an even flow, so you'll be able to turn it down to just a trickle. Yeah. The worst case scenario for this is you just may need to open up these holes a little bit more. But once these are all consistently flowing with 3 taps in the end, I don't think you'll need to. I'm not particularly worried about light leaking into these holes, but if you are worried, you can just use something to cover this part of the system. Maybe just a cut out piece of guttering or a half PVC pipe. So it's time to mix the nutrients. Here I have 2 tubs of hot water. Make sure you mix them in hot water. I'm just going to do a quick water pH test just to find out what water we're working with from the start. This is a pH indicator test kit, a liquid test kit. This is available from most hardware stores. All you do is you drop the indicator in the water, you shake it, and it turns a color. That is not good actually. Yeah, wow. Your pH is like really high. Like, look how high that is. That is, high is alkaline, I think. Alkaline, it's really alkaline. So I'm actually gonna pre-adjust this water. You're looking at like maybe 8. So I'm gonna pre-adjust this water and I'm going to bring the pH down. I wanna bring it down 1. So I've got 100 liters. Oh, you don't have anything to measure with, do you? Like a syringe? That's pH raised. So I'm gonna use the pH lower and we're going to add in, it's 10 mils per 100 liters to drop the pH by 1 unit. So I need, oh perfect, a shot glass. Are you gonna give me anything else with that? So I'm just gonna throw that in. Okay, I'm gonna mix that up. You want like a dark green color out of this pH test kit. I'll mix that up and we can test it again. Just trying to get it so that we've got a nice clean slate to work with. That's better. That's like a dark green.
Yeah.
That is what I'm aiming for. Perfect. So that's, you're looking at like 6.5, which is exactly what I want. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add in our hydroponic nutrient to our hot water. So it comes in 2 parts. You've got your calcium nitrate, your other elements. These need to be mixed individually because when in high concentration, they interact with each other and cause precipitation, which means that the elements combine into a non-soluble form and they fall out of solution. We'll read the manufacturer's instructions. For full strength application, dissolve 120 grams into 100 liters, part 1, and 80 grams into 100 liters of part 2. So we're actually going to halve that because these are leafy greens and we only want a half strength solution. 60 grams of part 1 and 40 grams of part 2. Now this has a spoon measurement, which is 5 grams. So if you don't have a scale, you can just spoon out the parts into your hot water, mix it up and add it in. Now, I prefer working from EC, but instructions that tell you the strength will do if you do not have an EC reader. Do you have scales? Really small increment scales? Yeah. Cool. Awesome. What do you use these for?
Measuring coffee.
Oh, coffee. Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you would too, wouldn't you?
Gotta be perfect.
What, you measure out every spoon of coffee? Like when you put it in the machine?
No, so when you grind the beans, you measure out how much ground coffee you get. And then once you pour your coffee, you measure the extraction as well.
Wow.
So like you may be aiming for 21 grams in and then 50 grams out.
I drink tea, so. All right, so part one we need, oh, do you have anything that I can put it in on there? Got it.
You can also just do the bag and then go negative as you take it out.
Oh, that's so smart. Yeah, right. That's like a whole different level of thinking. I would never have done that. So you measure the bag.
Yeah, and then you hit tear.
It's teared already, yep. So, and then you just take it out and as it comes out.
Yeah, so if you do one scoop.
Yeah, it'll go into the negative, of course. Man, two brains, hey? So I'm just measuring out 60 grams of part 1. So that's 60. This is actually going to go into the res second, even though it's part 1. We put the Kalnai in first, 40 grams of part 2. We're going to mix it until it fully dissolves, and it should dissolve a lot faster in the hot water, and that's why we use hot water. We can add in first our calcium nitrate. Make sure it's completely mixed in. You can see the elemental breakdown on this packet, part 1 and part 2. So you've got your bulk, nitrate and calcium, and then all of your other elements. So this is part 1, which you add second. And now we can test the pH and see how well I've done. Oh, straight up. That is spot on. That is 5.5 to 6, maybe even 5.5, but that is perfect. So we want to aim for anywhere between 5.5 to 6.5, but I think 5.5, that's where we're at. I would actually recommend getting a pH pen and an EC meter. It makes life a lot easier, especially when you don't know your EC after a few weeks. So an EC pen essentially measures the electrical conductivity of the water. Because salty water is more conductive and the nutrients are salts. So the more salty the water, the more it conducts. So it doesn't actually tell you what nutrients are left. So it won't tell you that there's a lack of potassium or something, but it will tell you how much nutrients are left. So you will still need to change it out after a long period of time, even if the EC is correct, but it will tell you at least whether the plants have stripped all the nutrients out or if you've put too many nutrients in. Yeah, so this would be probably an EC of about 1.5. Now, if that went down, you'd know the plants are stripping it out and you need to top it up. And if it went up, you know that the plants are stripping the water and they're using more water than they are nutrients. So you need to top up the water. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you can get cheap EC and pH pens online.
Yeah, easy.
But I'll link you, and I'll link you. In fact, you could probably get a cheap EC pen from the sponsor of this video, which is HomeGrow. And now I think it's about time that we start the seeds so that in a couple of weeks we can get this up and running and Danny can get some lettuce going. Nods of approval. So I've just filled this up. There's 4 rows of 6. We only need 3 rows of 6 because there's 18 holes in this system. I'm just starting some extras just in case some of the seeds don't take. I'm just going to wet these. So I'm just going to fill them up only water, no nutrient solution. They don't need any nutrient solution until their first true leaves pop. And at that point, you'll be putting them in this system anyway. So this propagation container will not need any nutrient at any time unless they get a bit bigger and you don't have room in your system, then you might add like a half strength nutrient. This is straight tap water. Now it's not pH balanced. I'm just going to let these Jiffy Peat pellets soak up that water. And then once the pellets have soaked up the water, we can add in the seeds. Okay, so as you can see here, I've just spread the seeds over the top by just sprinkling them. You don't even need to cover the seeds really, as long as most of the seed is actually in contact with some moisture. So you can just use your finger to come along, push them down into or onto the peat pellet once you've gone and sprinkled them out, and that is perfectly fine. They will germinate and send roots down into the peat pellet without you having to dig around and bury them. This will actually be easier on the seeds as well. So just do it this way, and then we can cover them up and germination will begin. If you do want an in-depth video on how to plant seeds, just check out this video here. That's my seeder system with rock wool, and it's basically the same for all grow media. So once you've planted the seeds, you would put the dome on and have all your vents closed. Once the seeds have sprouted, once they've popped, the moment you see them all pop, you want to either open the vents completely or you can just crack the top. If you don't do this, it will be too humid inside and that can cause mold to form on the seedlings and they will die. Now I've done this before when I went on holidays and I didn't crack a propagation dome, my seedlings went moldy. And then you can just leave it like that until they get to the stage where you put them into your NFT hydroponic system. All right, well, it's time to put a lid on that. And thank you for watching this episode of Hoochos. If you're interested in hydroponics, head over to my channel. I've got a ton more content and I think you'll really enjoy what you find there, if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hoochos. Happy hydroponicking, and I'll see you next time. She's heavy. So you really want these out in the light as much as possible because there's not much light coming through here. Yeah, just leave it as is. That nutrient will be fine. Okay. Transfer them from here to here once they get their first true leaf. Okay. So you'll know the first true leaf. The two first ones that pop out, they're called the cotyledon leaves. Yep. And then they're like sort of similar on every plant. You'll see a leaf and it'll look nothing like the other two leaves. And that's when you want to pop them in here.
Alright. Oh, best doing it, so something's happening.
Yeah. Help!